Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Great story, OP. And your manager is awesome. Him being able to make a contest and also have fun with you guys proves he doesn't have anything stuck up his butt. You do indeed have the rare one right there. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Work on small freight first? Alrighty. So I used to work a home improvement retailer that's popular in the Midwest United States. Nothing bad against the company other than the simple fact it's retail and my fair share of customer stories. But today this story's about my assistant manager at the time. At the time of this story, I was working as a morning stalker with two other guys and was their senior in seniority despite having only been with the company for 6 months, and the older gentleman was the down stalker, took excess product on the top shelf and put it on the store shelves, was a freaking retired aviation engineer who just got bored of retirement and wanted something active. Kind of important to note. Our department manager, who was my first and absolute best manager, had a policy/rule, call it what you will, where us stalkers would put away the heavy bulk items that can be taken off the pallets and thrown onto the shelves without unwrapping anything. Think pet food, cat litter, 5-gallon, 20-liter buckets of paint, etc. Yes, I know, weird combo, but that was what our department did, paint and grocery. And we would work through the bulk items, working our way down to the smaller items until we got to the smallest items like theater box candy. One morning, we came into work on this particular fine Friday morning where the manager had the day off, and it was the assistant managers for that morning as well as the whole weekend. Managers alternated working on weekends, a reason I refused a management position, and it was this day that she felt she needed to up her game or something because she told us in the morning note to us stalkers that we needed to work on these smaller items first and work our way up to the larger items. We all exchanged looks and knew this was a bad idea, so I told them to just do the normal stuff and I'd ask her when she came in an hour and a half later at 6:30 a.m. She came in and, fortunately for us, me and the other stalker had finished our perspective pallets while the down stalker was just working the usual rounds walking up and down the ladder. I asked her if she really wanted to proceed with this line of process as there were 10 pallets in the receiving area for our department and 6 of them were bulk items. We could have done in less than an hour, and one of the reasons we stalkers did the bulk items, as our manager would jokingly put it, he didn't want the sales team to smell like crap, which makes sense if you ask me. I've smelt myself on the way home after working bulk freight all day, but I digress. But she was adamant that we did the small piddly stuff so the sale team could focus on making sales and other more important tasks. One thing I failed to mention is that it was thunderstorming this Friday, which is a good day to me as I might as well live in Seattle or other places where it rains a lot, which causes sales to drop dramatically at our store given its location of our city as the only contractors that don't give a hoot about weather. Without skipping a beat, the other stalker and I nodded our heads, and when the assistant manager wasn't looking, I grabbed the note she left for us from the recycling box we had to use for later, as I knew where this was going after how the day was going. To make an already long story not so long, the story repeated itself on Saturday, but rather than do a couple bulk items in the hour and a half we had before the assistant manager came in, we complied and did these small items like candy, off-the-shelf meds like aspirin and other small pain-in-the-butt items. We got maybe 7 pallets of freight out on Friday, 4 of them being bulk, 2 on that Saturday despite another 15 pallets coming in. Stalkers didn't work on Sundays. Us stalkers would work from 5 a.m. to 9 a.m., and it was Monday morning was when the managers would switch places, so the department manager would be in at noon that day, and it was at about 8:30 a.m. when the assistant manager realized how bad she messed up as we had over 10 pallets in the back aisle. But receiving was packed with another 20 to 30, and receiving with over 20 of these pallets being bulk items, we'd have done easily. Being friends with several people on sales, we came to find out she told none of the salespeople to work on freight, and would even tell the ones who would work on freight when their daily tasks were done to work on something else, like straightening the shelves and whatnot. I also found out from friends in receiving that there were 2 more trucks coming in that day, which caused me and the other stalkers to giggle a bit. At about 8:30, the assistant manager told us, including the nice 67-year-old down stalker, to start working bulk freight to get as much out. Thing was, I had class at 10 a.m. and needed to go home to shower so I didn't smell bad, and the downstalker smirked and told the other stalker that we were going to leave on time with him, and the other stalker coming up with their own reasons for having to leave on time, that I don't remember what they said as a reason. Come that Tuesday, the department manager's note to us told us to work on nothing but bulk freight and that he wanted to talk to me specifically when he came in at 6:30. Soon as he came in and before he could say a word to ask what happened, I took the papers the assistant manager gave us those 2 days and placed them in front of him. If disappointed anger could kill, then his flared nostril deep breath and exhale would have killed the city as his eyes rolled back and he shook his head before laughing, before bringing the other stalker over and telling us whoever got the most pallets done would get $20. Sad to say I didn't win, but I did get a second place $10 bill. As I said, he was the best manager I ever had so far, and before it's asked, we got 25 pallets done between us in those 2.5 hours. I did 12, the other stalker did 13, and we joke he won because he took the last bulk pallet. The best part was the manager thanking us, handing us our winnings, then telling us at 9 to go home and shower because we smell like crap. We still laugh about this to this day. I'm glad the department manager could have a nice laugh about it. I'd love to be a fly on the wall at that next meeting between the assistant manager. Worth the read, OP, and your manager's savage. Him being able to make a contest and also have fun with you guys proves he doesn't have anything stuck up his butt. You do indeed have the rare one right there. Fight for that manager of the year. And our second story. Won't let me have my operation at a hospital 20 miles away? Fine. I'll spend a week at a hospital 4 hours away instead. This happened about 10 years ago, not long after I was diagnosed with endometriosis. I live in the UK, so we luckily have the NHS. However, the rules can differ in different parts of the UK. At the time this story occurred, I lived in North Wales, about 4 miles from the border of England. With endometriosis, there are 2 different types of surgery you can have to remove it: excision and ablation. Excision is much more effective, but can only be performed by specialist surgeons at certain hospitals, which are classed as accredited endometriosis centers. In order to be classed as one of these specialist centers, a hospital needs to perform a certain number of very complex surgeries each year, amongst other criteria. At this time, if you lived in England, you had a right to choose where you were treated. So if you had endometriosis and lived in, for example, Liverpool, but your local hospital wasn't an accredited endometriosis center, you could choose to have your surgery at Manchester instead. Wales had a similar rule, but you could only choose to be treated at another hospital in Wales. Doesn't sound too absurd in principle. However, Wales had 1 accredited center at the time, Cardiff, South Wales, and England had about 20. I'd already tried ablation surgery and it hadn't worked. I was in extreme pain every day and was getting to the point where I was unable to work or go to college. I went to see my GP to ask for excision surgery. I mentioned the right to choose, which I'd been told about, and asked if I could be referred to a specialist on the Wirral, which was a 20-minute drive away. I was told this wasn't possible as it was over the border in England and that I could only choose from hospitals in Wales. Where I lived was so close to the border that the nearest big town was in England. Until the month before, I'd worked in England every day. I crossed the border to England every time I went to do my weekly shop, but I wasn't allowed to go there for health care. The only specialist in Wales, as I mentioned, was in Cardiff, which was a 4-hour drive away. When I asked my not very good GP what else I could do as I needed the surgery, his reply was, "Not a lot unless you're willing to go to Cardiff for it." This is when I had my idea. I calmly turned around to the doctor and said, "Okay then." You see, the thing with excision surgery is, although it can take several hours and be a large operation, in most cases they'll let you go home the same day as long as you have someone to collect you. So I calmly explained that yes, I'd be happy to travel to Cardiff. However, my dad couldn't drive that far, so I wouldn't have anyone to bring me home. This would mean they'd have to keep me in for up to a week until I was well enough to take the train home, as opposed to sending me to the hospital 20 minutes from my house where my dad could pick me up the same day. I got a call the next morning to say they'd approved my request to have the operation at the hospital just over the border. Well, guys, I'm surprised anyone made that call. I can't imagine anyone in the chain of command for that decision would actually care that the OP locked up a bed for that long. But someone at that surgery phoned up Cardiff and explained and got told, "No effing way," and to do their own legwork to book OP into England. And our last story. Karen tried to charge me for warranty work on my car. I'll preface this as being old story. Got reminded of it on another sub where a garage has done work unauthorized and demanding $8,000 in charges. Anyways, back in the mists of time, I think I was about 28 at the time, I bought a second-hand Toyota Carina E sedan for £2,600. At the end of the test drive, I noticed the radiator was leaking. The dealer, official Toyota dealership, said, "No worries, we'll service, valet, and replace the radiator and the rear tires as they look a little thin on tread." I picked the car up a week later, get to the petrol station, and water's pouring out of the radiator. I go straight back and show them that, and the rear tires had just been turned around to hide the worn tread. They apologized, gave me a courtesy car, and our mine straight in the workshop. Turns out a mechanic was in his notice period and just didn't give a crap, so he poured RedWheel into the radiator and messed with the tires. Next day, I pick up the car again. They show the work they had done, and as an apology, had replaced all 4 tires. I go round to the front to pick up my keys, and the receptionist handed me a bill for the new radiator and wheels plus service. I reminded her it was warranty work. She said she didn't care. It was a 5-year-old car, no warranty. I look at her, pull out the warranty sheet, and show it to her. She angrily said that it didn't cover the work. Bear in mind, they had 4 customers ordering brand new cars in building and could hear all this. Manager comes out, hearing her voice raised, and he stated, "I authorized the work when I sold OP the car." He handed me the keys, stamped the invoice as paid, and told her she was fired. Turns out it was her husband that effed up the work because he had been let go for bad work ethic. They made the mistake of giving him his notice period as he'd been with them for 10 years. I loved that car. Sadly, a couple years later, it was written off in a crash. I think the bosses should have suspected something when they hired a married couple. What they were doing was definitely illegal and should have resulted in something more serious than dismissal. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.